I do love the waking up next to the dead person and trying to figure out what happened. She wants to be a writer. Ding ding. I am stumbling something fierce. Icing meat cherry on top. I love this blurb. The writing sounds so good. Writer friends, are you hearing this? Worst date ever. But she's a cool girl. I fangirled like crazy to the point that I told her I was fangirling. Womp womp. Could I be a romantasy reader? I don't know. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse, and welcome to December new releases with a smidge of a twist. We're going to talk about a handful of books that are coming out in January, an idea that was directly inspired by today's sponsor, which is Book of the Month. I am so excited to be partnering with Book of the Month again, and I am so excited to tell you guys you can get your first book for only $5 using the code STUFFED. They have some very exciting things going on for this Black Friday weekend, and there's some great holiday deals to talk about. So you guys know I'm a massive fan of Book of the Month. I have been introduced to so many new to me authors. I have found some of my favorites. You can get brand new hardcover books and early releases, hence the January twist of this video, and you can get it for only $5 this month. Their mission is to bring the best new fiction forward. They curate an incredible selection. I am always struggling to narrow down my choices every month. This month is no exception. And again, brand new hardcover books, early releases, you can get your first one for only $5 using the code STUFFED. So let's dig in a little bit to the books that I picked up, and let's dig into some more of the perks and benefits of Book of the Month. They have a loyalty program. They always have free shipping. Did I mention the early release books, which I'm going to talk about in half a second, which I cannot control myself about? But I have had such a great time with Book of the Month because I am number one creature of habit. I have authors that I know and love. I definitely gravitate towards certain books. And what Book of the Month does such a fantastic job of doing is they have such a focus on emerging authors and getting these authors into the hands of their readers. I have discovered so many new to me authors, or authors who are out there that maybe hadn't crossed my radar or who I might not have taken a chance on, and Book of the Month has given me the opportunity to read from so many new authors, while also picking up some of my authors that I know and love. Their commitment to their audience and to their readers is something that I absolutely get so giddy about because it's so important to them, again, to find these emerging authors and to inspire their readers and to create a culture of inspiration. And I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. You know what I also love? The books that I picked up this month. So the first book that I picked up is I Might Be in Trouble by Daniel Aleman. This is his adult debut. So new to me author, adult debut. This sounds a little bit hijinksy. So our main character has gone out on a date and wakes up the next morning with not a lot of memory and his date dead in bed next to him. And he needs to figure out how to get rid of the body. He's also a writer, which is kind of what drew me to this, on top of the fact that this hot pink book cover is all the things. And then it wouldn't be a Book of the Month, if Audrey didn't let out a scream. The scream heard around the world. Alice Feeney, Beautiful Ugly. This book comes out in January, you guys. You can get it now for only $5 using the code STUFFED. I about lost my mind. I am so excited for this book. She is an auto-by-author of mine. I have read almost everything she's written, and I am absolutely going to be reading this one next. So this one just set me over the edge. So amazing selection. Did I mention hardcovers? Or you can choose an audiobook. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Virtual Book Tour, which is their podcast. They interview authors, they play games. I love the story behind the story. I love learning more about the authors. And I just love everything the Book of the Month does to create this full experience for their readers. So one more time, you can get your first book for only $5 using the code STUFFED. Or this holiday season, you can gift a membership. So you can save over $30 on gift memberships. Check out the gift page. Again, the link to their website is down below. A reminder of that code STUFFED is down below. So you can treat yourself, you can treat people in your world to Book of the Month, because what a great treat that would be. Free shipping, loyalty program, and fantastic selection of books. All genres, debuts, authors that you know and love. I just can't rave enough about them. So thank you again so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video and for partnering with me. I just am beside myself. I'm so excited to bring this to you guys. Again, one more time, $5 using the code STUFFED. You can get your first book. And stay tuned, because we're going to talk more about both of these books. And we're going to talk about a bunch of books that are coming out in December and a handful of books that are high on my radar for January. First up, we're going to talk about two books that are coming out on December 1st. And the first of the two books is The Answer Is No by Fredrik Backman. This is a short story. You guys know I'm a huge fan of his, and I was very excited to see this. A little something for the holidays. So this one kind of reminds me of A Man Called Uva, which I definitely enjoyed. But in this one we have Lucas. And it says he knows the perfect night entails just three things: video games, wine, and pad thai. Peanuts are a must. Other people? Not so much. I feel you, Lucas. It says, why complicate things when he's happy alone? Then one day the apartment board, a vexing trio of authority, rings his doorbell, and Lucas's solitude takes a startling hike. They demand to see his frying pan, because someone has left one next to the recycling room overnight, and instead of removing the errant object, as Lucas suggests, they insist on finding the guilty party, but their plan backfires colossally. So it says, singular witty style, sharply drawn characters, and relatable antics. It's a laugh-out-loud portrait of a man struggling to keep to himself in a world that won't leave him alone. I'm so intrigued. I love Fredrik Backman. I am slowly working my way kind of to zero. I still need to read The Winners, and I still need to read Anxious People, but this will be a quick win for a short story. So win-win. Very excited. And then the next book is The Broken Places by Mia Sheridan. And it says, in this twisted journey into the shadows of the Golden Gate, an inspector and an FBI agent must track down the source of an unknown drug, but their attraction and their own secrets keep getting in the way. So we are on the streets of San Francisco, and they are not as sunny as the city pretends. So Inspector Lennon Gray has learned this the hard way, and it's starting to wear on her. When a new case plunges her into the depths of the transient community, Lennon must once again face ugly truths about humanity. Her new partner makes things a little bit easier, though. Agent Ambrose Mars is charming, innocent somehow, despite his own hard years in the field. The combination leaves Lennon fascinated and disturbed at the same time, and she's even more drawn to him for it. As they investigate the hallucinogenic drug that's forcing homeless citizens into bizarre and dangerous role plays, Lennon and Ambrose find their relationship intensified with every new twist. But when these revelations begin to uncover secrets she wasn't prepared to know, Lennon will have to decide how much more she can take before something important is taken from her. I'm intrigued. So Mia Sheridan is a new-to-me author, but you guys know I love police investigation. It definitely sounds like romantic suspense, and romance might be at the forefront, or at least kind of have equal time, but loved the cover. And I'm definitely intrigued, so here we go. All right, moving into December 3rd, we have The Close-Up by Pip Drysdale. I read The Sunday Girl, I think 2 years ago now, and I loved it. So I am super excited for this one. So it says, a struggling author discovers the dark side of fame when a stalker begins reenacting violent events from her thriller. I don't remember which video it was where I was talking about that Bones episode where there's like somebody in real life recreating murders from a book that she wrote. I just love this trope so much. So when Zoe Ann Weiss moves to Los Angeles to pursue her dream of becoming a writer, her whole future is wide open. But then Zach, the bartender and aspiring actor she's falling for, ghosts her. Jerk. Her debut novel, a thriller, fails, and she has writer's block worse than ever before. Now 3 years later, Zach is famous and Zoe is not. She's facing her 30th birthday, a dead-end job at a flower shop, and a demanding agent, terrified she'll never get her life back on track. Life back on track. But when she goes to make a flower delivery and Zach is at the address, it's like no time has passed at all. They start casually dating in secret, her writer's block disappears, and Zoe begins to wonder. Zach inspired her first novel, so why can't he inspire her second? But then the inevitable happens and photos are leaked, landing Zoe in the press. Her first novel goes viral and now everyone seems to know her name. Except the problem with everyone knowing your name is that everyone knows your name, including the mysterious stalker obsessed with Zach. A stalker who begins reenacting violent events from Zoe's book, step by step, against her. I'm so excited for this. I loved The Sunday Girl. That was like dark revenge, fantastic. I totally loved it. I was totally hooked by her writing. So I have had an eye on this book for a bit, and it's almost finally here. So I'm very excited. I will definitely be diving into this one. Very excited for this. I need to stop saying very excited. The next book is Havoc by Christopher Bollen, or Bollen. I saw this on Jordy's Book Club's Instagram page. You know, he's one of my go-tos for recommendations, especially recommendations of books that may not have crossed my radar before. And this one, A, love the cover. B, I feel like maybe a smidge out of my wheelhouse, but I'm super interested in it. So I wanted to talk about it here for sure because I want to read it. And it says, the war between age and youth has never been so vicious. Jordy said this book is going to like give you a good time. You're going to go for a ride. So we have 81-year-old widow Maggie Burkhart came to the Royal Karnak to escape, but not in quite the same way as most of the other guests who are there relaxing at this threadbare luxury hotel on the banks of the Nile. Maggie, a compulsive fixer of other people's lives, may have found herself in hot water at her last hotel in Switzerland and just might have needed to get out of there really, really fast. But here at the Royal Karnak, under the hot Saharan sun, she has a comfortable suite, a loyal confidant in the hotel manager, Ahmed, and a handful of sympathetic friends, similar long-termers, who understand her still vivid grief for her late husband, Peter. Here she is, merely the sweet old lady in room 309. One morning, however, Maggie notices a new arrival at check-in, a mournful-looking young mother named Tess and her impish 8-year-old Otto. Eager to help, Maggie invites them into her world, but it isn't long before Maggie realizes that in her longing to be a part of their family, she has let in an enemy much stronger than she bargained for. In scrawny, homely Otto, Maggie Burkhart has finally met her match. So it says, in the vein of The Bad Seed, twisted atmospheric psychological suspense. I'm very curious about this. Like I said, I trust Jordy, living for the cover, and it kind of feels like a fun, wild ride. It sounds like it could be super bingeable. The next book, I will fully admit, is not in my wheelhouse. This is a romantasy. This is The Last One by Rachel Housel Hall. I could not show this book. Look at how gorgeous this is. This is one of those books where I'm like, could I be a romantasy reader? I don't know. I have read some of Rachel Housel Hall's crime fiction, so I definitely enjoy her as an author and wanted to highlight this, even though, again, not my wheelhouse, but perhaps yours, / would this book, just based on looks alone, make you go out and buy it? Limited first run, so if you're interested, this is the deluxe edition. And if you're a romantasy reader, then maybe right up your alley. So it says, thrown into a desolate land of sickness and unnatural beasts, Kai wakes in the woods with no idea who she is or how she got there. All she knows that is if she cannot reach the Sea of Devour, even this hellscape will get worse. But when she sees the village blacksmith fight invaders with unspeakable skill, she decides to accept his offer of help. Too bad he's as skilled at annoying her as he is at fighting. As she searches for answers, Kai only finds more questions, especially regarding the blacksmith, who can ignite her body like a flame and then douse it with ice in the next breath. And no one is what or who they appear to be in the kingdom of Vindverth, including the man whose secrets may be as deadly as the land itself. It's funny not being a romantasy reader, where I'm like totally probably butchering some of these words, but Rachel Housel Hall is a fantastic author. This is a very interesting pivot, so I am very excited for her, and I just can't get over how beautiful it is. So again, if you buy the books for the cover or you're looking for a new romantasy, I would highly recommend checking her out because she's amazing. The next book is my first book of the month pick, and this is I Might Be in Trouble by Daniel Aleman. I love the hot pinkness of this cover. Let's do it over here. And do I love a murder mystery? Obviously I do. I could not hit add to cart quick enough when I saw this selection. So this is his adult debut. So new to me author, not a new author. I love an adult debut. There have been a few of those this year that I've loved, authors who are making the transition. And we have Life is Tough, Moving a Dead Body is Tougher. I just love it already. So it says, a few years ago, David Alvarez had it all. A 6-figure book deal, a loving boyfriend, and an exciting writing career. You know I love a book about a writer. His debut novel was a resounding success, which made the publication of his second book a total flop, all the more devastating. Second book syndrome. Now David is single, lonely, and desperately trying to come up with a great idea for his next manuscript. One that will redeem him in the eyes of readers, reviewers, and the entire publishing world, and maybe even his ex-boyfriend. The issue is, good ideas are hard to come by, and the mounting pressure of a near-empty bank account isn't helping. Then David connects with a sexy stranger on a dating app, and he thinks one wild night out in New York City will be like the cure he's been looking for, and he will find some inspiration in the wildness. Lucky for him, his date turns out to be handsome, confident, and wealthy, not to mention the perfect distraction. After one of the best nights of his life, David wakes up hungover but giddy, only to find Prince Charming dead in the bed next to him. Womp womp. Worst date ever. So now he's horrified, completely confused, and suddenly faced with the implausible but somehow plausible idea that he may have actually killed his date. Wah. David calls the only person he can trust in a moment of crisis his literary agent, Stacy. So kind of like The Hangover, they've got to figure out what the heck happened last night. Never mind deal with the fact that there's a dead body in David's bed. I imagine hijinks will ensue. I have not read anything more about the book, but yeah, they definitely need to figure out what to do with the body. But I'm guessing based on like the two of them dragging the dead body, I kind of get that like Dead to Me, Finley Donovan hijinksy vibe. Again, I haven't read it yet because I just got it, but I imagine there's going to be some humor to this, and I'm very excited for it. So hot pink cover for the win, and new to me author for the win, and a murder mystery. How do you get away with murder, right? How do you get rid of a dead body in your bed? I do love the waking up next to the dead person and trying to figure out what happened. I do love that very much, for what it's worth. Okay, now for a bit of a 180, by which I mean a lot of a 180. This is What It's Like in Words by Eliza Moss, and it is described as an intoxicating debut, dark, intense, and compelling account of what happens when a young woman falls in love with the wrong kind of man. I feel like the book cover alone, also a gorgeous hot pink, is showing us that this is definitely totally different than the last book. So we have Enola is approaching 30 and everything feels like a lot. The boxes aren't ticked and she feels adrift in a way she thought she would have beaten by now. She wants to be a writer, ding ding, but can't finish a first draft. She romanticizes her childhood but won't speak to her mother. She's never been in a serious relationship but yearns to be one half of a couple that DIYs together at the weekends. Enter enigmatic writer. Enola falls in love and starts to dream about their perfect future, the wedding, the publishing deals, the house in Stoke Newington. But the reality is far from perfect. He's distant, but she's a cool girl. She doesn't need to hear from him every day. He hangs out with his ex, but she's a cool girl. She's not insecure, is she? He has dark moods, but he's a creative. That's part of his process. Her best friend begs her to end it, but Enola can't because she's a cool girl. She might feel like she's going crazy at times, but she wants him. She needs him. She would die without him. That's what love is, isn't it? Over the next 24 hours and 2 years, everything that Enola thinks she knows is about to unravel, and she has to think again about how she sees love, family, and friendship, and most importantly, herself. So this is comp to Fleabag, which is definitely part of what caught my eye, on top of the it's a book about a writer. And it says, Fleabag and I May Destroy You, but with the sparseness and emotional accuracy of writers like Ali Smith and Lily King. It's a close examination of what it means to experience the intense emotional uncertainty of first love. This is definitely going to be a mood of a book. This definitely sounds heavy, but I'm super intrigued. I feel like most of us can probably relate to falling for the wrong kind of person, and it can wreak some havoc on you. So I will be keeping an eye out for this one. And then we go back to a bit of levity. I did not plan it this way. I literally just wrote them down in the order that I found them. So this one is called Roland Rogers Isn't Dead Yet by Samantha Allen. This is another book about a writer. I did not plan this either. It's just, I can't control the publishing industry, you guys, but I can control what I gravitate to. So this is a ghost book that will keep you up all night, but it doesn't sound scary ghosty. It sounds fun ghosty. So it says, Adam Gallagher has knocked on thousands of doors. An ex-Mormon and almost famous memoirist, he's used to sharing his life story with strangers. But this day, this house is different, for it belongs to none other than Roland Rogers, Hollywood hunk and soon-to-be author. Roland has a story to tell, a decades-old secret to spill, and he's decided that Adam is just the guy to help him do it. Except there's a problem. Roland Rogers is dead? Not in the metaphysical realm. If he focuses, he can summon enough energy to communicate via the kitchen speaker. But certainly in the physical, and he needs Adam to pen his story before his body is found frozen beneath the avalanche of snow that squashed it. This means 1 month, 100,000 words, and no breaks. Writer friends, are you hearing this? Like, 50,000 words a month was nuts, 100,000 words in a month, because they have to get it done before they find his body. So it says ghostwriting is hard enough, let alone when you're dealing with a real ghost. And so it isn't long before Roland's idea of what this book should be clashes with Adam's vision of what it could be. But the clock is ticking, the ice is melting, and as more truths are told, both men soon discover that this experience is less of a coming out and more of a coming home. I love that line. So, sophomore novel, again, another new to me author, and it is witty and electric new rom-com for fans of Ashley Poston and Casey McQuiston. Yay, 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 yay. This one sounds really fun. I love the idea of a ghostwriter. I love the communicating from beyond. I definitely laughed out loud when it was like the avalanche that squished him. So let's hope they can get this story done. Talk about a ghostwriter, right? And then rounding out the December 3rd list is The Rivals by Jane Pek. So this is actually the second book in the Claudia Lynn series. So The Verifiers is book number 1, and I am ashamed to admit I own it, but I haven't read it yet. That is a popular tagline here. If you guys have watched me for a while, I have a bit of a book buying problem, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm an obsessive. But this is getting some really great reviews. I was super intrigued by the first book, so I want to read less about the second just in case it spoils anything. It says, it is a provoking mystery that reimagines the spy story to explore the nature of relationships in a digital age. Follow up to The Verifiers. So let's do a little bit of a blurb on The Verifiers in case you guys haven't read it yet or are not familiar with it. So we meet Claudia in book number 1, and it says she's used to disregarding her fractious family's model minority expectations. She has no interest in finding either a conventional career or a nice Chinese boy. She's also used to keeping secrets from them, such as that she prefers girls and that she has been stealth recruited by Veracity, a referrals-only online dating detective agency. I am stumbling something fierce. A lifelong mystery reader who wrote her senior thesis on Jane Austen, Claudia believes she's landed her ideal job. But when a client vanishes, Claudia breaks protocol to investigate and uncovers a maelstrom of personal and corporate deceit. Part literary mystery, part family story. It's clever, incisive, and an examination of how technology shapes our choices and the nature of romantic love in the digital age. So it got a lot of rave reviews when it came out, Under the Influence. And then in the second book, let me just look real quickly. So in the second book, it looks like we are investigating a client's sudden death. And I don't want to read too much more. But if you have already read book 1, congratulations, book number 2 is out. And if you're interested in picking up a new 2-book series, check out Jane Pek. Okay, I have one book for December 10th, and this is What the Wife Knew by Darby Kane. I have read Pretty Little Wife. I have another one of her books. She is definitely an author who I enjoy. I was impressed with how dark she went in Pretty Little Wife. I had thought it was going to be a much more like entry domestic suspense, but like it really went Dark Betty on me, which I very much enjoyed. So I have no excuse for not having picked up more of her, but what a great excuse to. So What the Wife Knew. It says it's a domestic thriller about a wife wondering who tried to kill her husband twice before finally succeeding, because that was supposed to be her job. Dr. Richmond Doherty is a renowned pediatric surgeon, an infamous tragedy survivor, and a national hero. He's also very dead thanks to a fall down the stairs. His neighbors angrily point a finger at the newest Mrs. Doherty, Addison. The sudden marriage to the mysterious young woman only lasted 97 days, and he's had 2 suspicious accidents during that time. Now Addison is a very rich widow. So as law enforcement starts to circle in on Addison and people in town become increasingly hostile, sides are being chosen. And leading the fray is Catherine, Richmond's high school sweetheart, wife number 1, and the mother of his children. So it says, despite rising tensions, Addison is even more driven to forge ahead on the path she charted years ago. Determined at all costs to unravel Richmond's legacy, she soon becomes a target. With a shocking note left on her bedroom wall, "You will pay." Dun dun dun. But it will take a lot more than a faceless threat to stop Addison. Her plan to marry Richmond, then ruin him, may have been derailed by his unexpected death, but she's not done with him yet. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Who murdered the husband she planned to kill? I mean, come on. Darby Kane crushes it. Love her. Love her. Love her. And I also have The Engagement Party is another one of her books. Not to title hop, but there I did. And I will be tuning in. I will be tuning in for this one too. Coming out on December 17th, this is Definitely Better Now by Ava Robinson. This is another book of the month pick this month. I had a hard time choosing. This one was leading my list at one point, but I did go mystery thriller. But certainly one worth picking up and one I will be picking up on my own. So it says, a touching and deeply funny debut about starting over sober only to discover life's biggest messes are still waiting right where you left them. The very last person anyone should worry about is Emma. Yes, hi, she's an alcoholic, but she's officially been sober for an entire year. That's 12 months of better health. 52 whole weeks of focusing on nothing but her 9-to-5 office job, group meetings, and avoiding the kind of bad decisions that previously left her awash in shame and regret. It's also been 365 days of not dating, and with her new dating profile, Emma, 26, of New York, is ready to put herself back out there. Except, was dating always this complicated? And did Emma's mother really have to choose now to move in with her new boyfriend? Being assigned to plan her office's holiday party feels like the icing on the suddenly very overwhelming cake. Ugh, I used to have to do the office holiday parties. They were the worst. So not my forte. Anytime you work in operations, you often get stuck with the holiday party, so I sympathize here. And then we have her estranged father reappears with devastating news. Icing, meat, cherry on top. I love this blurb. The writing sounds so good. But then there's Ben, the charming IT guy, who despite Emma's awkwardness and shortcomings seems to maybe actually get her. Sobriety is turning out to be far from the flawless future Emma had once envisioned for herself. But as she allows herself to open up to Ben and confront difficult past relationships, she's beginning to realize that taking things one day at a time might just be the perfect imperfect path she's meant to be on. This just sounds so good. The writing sounds so good. I love the quips of it. So again, another book of the month selection if you guys are trying to decide what to get. And I'm excited for it. It just sounds really, really good. And then my last December book, which is coming out on December 24th, is Watch Your Back by Terri Parlato. So I talked about this book a few videos ago, and I had mentioned that it was coming out, and here we are talking about it. So I have All the Dark Places, which was her first book. It is set in Boston. This is another Boston book. And this one has a detective character who is the thread through the 3 books. So this is, I should mention, this is her 3rd book. The second one is What Waits in the Woods. But she is an author that I need to / want to dive into. So excited to see she has a new book coming out. So accidents happen no matter how careful or well-intentioned you are. So we have psychiatrist Eve Thayer frequently reassures her patients of that fact. There are even times when accidents have good consequences, like when Eve met her now husband Nathan at his collision shop after another car ran her off the road. Dun dun dun. After a whirlwind courtship, Nathan and Eve have settled into domestic life. They have a lovely home on a quiet street, a beautiful baby girl, and even the perfect babysitter to care for her, and yet something isn't quite right. The stress of Eva's life is mounting, both professionally and personally. Though the clinic where she works has been remodeled since its notorious days as an institution for the criminally insane, who's haunting that place, she feels increasingly uneasy there. And in her own neighborhood, a break-in at a nearby empty house hasn't helped things either. So we have Detective Rita Myers, our thread, hasn't yet figured out whether Eve is a target or a suspect, but every disturbing discovery in this unusually peaceful neighborhood seems to revolve around her. Only as a deadly ice storm crashes through does it become clear just how far from perfect Eve and Nathan's life really are. And as the cracks in the surface come to light, so do the sinister secrets that lie beneath. I love past and present secrets. I love secrets that are hiding out. I love Boston. I love weather. I love police investigation. This definitely sounds like an Audrey book. Twisted domestic thriller, perfect for fans of Stacey Willingham, Greer Hendricks, and Megan Miranda. So there you go. There you go. Just ringing out 2024 on a high. I don't know, that phrase kind of didn't make sense. Usually ring in a new year, you don't ring it out. Let's ring in the new year. Let's ring in the new year. Okay. So I just wanted to highlight a handful of books that I'm very excited about for January. I am going to do a full-blown January video, but in honor of today's Book of the Month video with getting your hands on an early release, I wanted to talk about a few books that I'm excited about. So the first book is The Note by Alafair Burke. I have already pre-ordered this. I pre-ordered this ages ago. So not that I forgot about it, but I was like, oh my God, it's going to be here before you know it. What is time? If you guys have been around this channel for a while, you know I am a huge Alafair Burke fan. I got to meet her at Thriller Fest at the bar through a mutual friend, and I fangirled like crazy to the point that I told her I was fangirling. So luckily she was super cool, and she said some very kind things about my writing, and I swoon around an author that I love. But I haven't read her first series, Samantha Kincaid, because I need to get my hands on it, but I have read everything since. So I read her second series and all of her standalones. And this is a standalone book. A vacation in the Hamptons goes terribly wrong for three friends with a complicated history. That's all I need to know. I mean, basically what I need to know is this cover is to die, and Alafair Burke wrote a book. So I don't even need to read what it's about, but here we go. It says it was meant to be a harmless prank. Growing up, May Hanover was a good girl, well-behaved, top of her class, a compulsive rule follower. Raised by a first-generation Chinese single mother with high expectations, May didn't have room to slip up, let alone fail. Her friends didn't call her the little sheriff for nothing. But even good girls have secrets and regrets. When it comes to her friendship with Lauren and Kelsey, she's had her fair share of both. Their bond, forged when May was just 12 years old, has withstood a tragic accident, individual scandals, heartbreak, and loss. Now the three friends have reunited for the first time in years for a few days of sun and fun in the Hamptons. But a chance encounter with a pair of strangers leads to a drunken prank that goes horribly awry. When she finds herself at the center of an urgent police investigation, May begins to wonder whether Lauren and Kelsey are keeping secrets from her, testing the limits of her loyalty to lifelong friends. What had they gone and done? It says it's a page turner of the highest order. I'm so excited. So her book, The Wife, is being made into a series. She's such a fantastic author. She's written a ton of books. I did an entirely dedicated video to her like early on in my channel. I'm just obsessed with her. I just think she's so fantastic. And I can't wait to read this book. I love a dark and messed up female friendship. I love, like, from childhood till now, I can't wait. When this one lands, you know what I'll be doing. And then coming out January 14th is Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. Why would you wait till January 14th when you can get your hands on it right now? This is one of my most anticipated books, and I about fell over when I saw it on the Book of the Month list. The cover is gorgeous. Look at that. Don't look at me. And Alice Feeney is another author that I am currently in the process of reading to zero. I am hard-pressed to pick a favorite of hers. I feel like his and hers might be it, but I also have a feeling this one might take the cake. So let's read about it. Oh, I love a new book. It says author Grady Green is having the worst, best day of his life. He calls his wife Abby to share some exciting news as she's driving home. He hears Abby slam on the brakes when she sees something in the road ahead. Over Grady's protest, Abby gets out of the car. When he eventually finds her car by the cliff edge, the headlights are still on, the driver's door is open, her phone is still there, but his wife has disappeared. A year later, Grady is still overcome with grief and desperate to know what happened to Abby. He can't sleep and he can't write, so he travels to a tiny remote Scottish island to try and get his life back on track. And then he sees the impossible, a woman who looks exactly like his missing wife. Another book about a writer. I am super curious what happened to Abby, and a little trivia for you guys. If you are, oops, I just flipped the cover off something fierce. If you are fans of Crime by the Book with Abby Endler, the Abby in this book was named for her by Alice Feeney, which is like my biggest dream come true, that an author would name a character after you. How freaking cool is that? I just think that's the coolest thing ever. So I am very excited. Alice Feeney can do a deliciously dark and messed up book. She always writes fantastic characters, super page turny. I will, not a spoiler, be reading this next. This is next up on my non-TBR TBR because I am so excited to have my hands on it. So stay tuned for a review in the short term. And like I said, you can get it right now from Book of the Month for only $5. You can pick it up. So that's my PSA. If you're an Alice Feeney fan, why would you sleep on this book? And then another book that is coming out on January 14th is Presumed Guilty by Scott Turow. This is the third book in the Presumed Innocent series. I am mentioning this simply because I have come on here so many times and talked about the TV show and the movie and the book and my reread plans and everything. And now there's a third book in the series. So I read Presumed Innocent years ago. I still plan to reread it. Things like getting the Feeney book start to bump my plans a little bit. But I'm planning to reread it. I did watch the show. I am going to go back and watch the movie. And I need to read the second book in the series before I pick up the third book in the series. So the second book is called Innocent. But if you are up to speed, if you're looking for something new from Scott Turow, Presumed Guilty is coming on the 14th of January. And we have Rusty Savage, who is our main character from Presumed Innocent. Hence, it's the Presumed Innocent series. So I don't really want to talk too much about it because you haven't read Presumed Innocent yet. I don't want to do any spoilers for you, but third book in the series, and I think we can definitely, let me just see what I can read without giving away anything. It appears that Rusty's son disappears. So I'm going to leave you with that. There's a lot of other stuff in here that I don't want to read because again, I know Presumed Innocent is like 30 years old or something, but still, if you haven't read it, I'm not here to ruin anybody's fun. Okay, and then I have one last book to talk to you guys about just to whet your palate. What a weird thing to say, right? To whet your palate. Okay, here we go. This is The Inheritance, and this is by Trisha Sacklika. And it says, most family reunions end in tears. This one will end in murder. Things that Audrey loves. Meet the Argwalls, who have gathered on a private luxury island off the west coast of Scotland for a much anticipated family reunion. Isolated location, dark and messed up family is gonna be my guess. So Raj is the patriarch and a business tycoon, and he is about to announce to his wife and 3 children the succession plan for his multi-million-dollar Delhi-based company. Selena, the fragile matriarch, is ready to have her husband to herself after years of sacrifice for the family business. Myra, the golden child, owner of the island and host of the reunion, is, unbeknownst to her family, on the brink of bankruptcy. Asim, the son and supposed heir, is torn between his love for his wife and his duty to family. And then Asha, the youngest, a party girl whose antics are legendary, can't pass up the opportunity to wreak some havoc. And then there's Zoe, Asim's wife, the outsider whose hashtag InstaPerfectLife is built on a foundation of lies. They've all got secrets that they would die to protect. Who will survive this high-stakes reunion and who will become the victim of their own greed? One thing is certain, this family gathering will shatter more than just their illusions of unity. I love a dark and messed up family. I love rich people behaving badly. I love an isolated island. I love everything about this. She is a new to me author. Is she a new author, period? Hold please. This is her US debut. So yes, let's end this video on a new author. How cool, right? I'm so excited. So again, a little bit of a tease of what's coming in January. So hopefully that left you with some great suggestions of books, maybe some new things for your TBR, some new things to keep an eye out for. And remember, you guys, you can get your first book from Book of the Month for only $5 using the code STUFFED. Great opportunity for you to join, great opportunity to do maybe a gifted book subscription for somebody this holiday season. There's some free gifts this Black Friday weekend, and you just can't go wrong. So there's a great selection, there always is. And I am super, super grateful for Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. And I am super grateful for all of you guys for being here and watching. So until next time, everybody, take care. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.